o'clock this morning. Well, let's speak now to Jonathan Davies, who is an economist and a wealth manager. Good morning to you, Jonathan.
Good morning, Nikki.
Now, I think you and I probably agree on how to deal with sales, so we're not going to be bantering as much as you might imagine. I don't think you need to buy anything unless you need it. There's no such thing as a bargain unless you actually need the product or the thing in the first place. Am I right?
Well, that's in the eye of the beholder. Ultimately, if something is a true bargain, really dirt cheap, then sure. If you've got the dosh, then spend it. If you want it, it makes you feel good, and so on. But we're talking here today about people who haven't got the dosh. That's the issue.
And in terms of people who haven't got the dosh, I would imagine that most of us still have to be very careful, whether we believe that the economy's recovering or not. Most of us have had a very hard few years, haven't we?
Absolutely. For the bulk of the population, incomes are flat or falling and have been for years, whilst the cost of living has been rising. Big picture, Nikki, is that for 20 years, house prices rose, debt rose. That's what kept the economy going for a couple of decades. The last few years, it's been biting. No doubt there is some economic growth in 2013, and there will be in 2014 as well. And I think one of the reasons why people are out spending is because house prices, particularly in London, have gone back to the 2007 highs and maybe even gone higher, particularly with government initiatives. But that doesn't mean that it's sustainable, and I think people have got very short memories. The debt bubble got us into the biggest problem in history, and I'm afraid we're going straight back into it.
So nobody, in your opinion then, should be putting anything on a credit card today unless they're one of the people who pay it off immediately and they're using it for ease?
Absolutely. People are like in a car at 80 miles an hour and they're about to bang into a wall. What they're listening to are, and I'm going to use this, I don't care, the lying politicians and the bankers and the central bankers like Mark Carney, the new governor of the Bank of England, who tell us that the recovery is locked in. Well, you know, it's an amazing thing, but no one asked these people the obvious question. If the recovery is locked in, why do we still have the emergency base rate of 0.5%? And the answer is because the recovery is not locked in, we wouldn't have an economy growing normally if we had, shall we say, proper interest rates. No, there may not be in the next couple of years a massive shock because of what's happening in the UK, but I'm telling you, what's happening outside of the UK, it's very likely there's going to be another global economic shock like 2008, and in fact, probably bigger. And the one thing that people have not asked themselves, what happens the next time there's a big recession? I'll tell you what won't happen. They won't be able to slash interest rates, which they did the last time, because they're already practically at rock bottom. People are not seeing the big picture.
So what would your advice be? I mean, I do apologise to anyone who wanted cheery radio this morning and what they turn on is doom-mongering in some ways, but I think you do it with good intentions, obviously, Jonathan. But what would your advice be to people right now in terms of their spending?
Well, you know, the word prudent is one that is really not listened to. So many people have been imprudent for years, and they're being imprudent again. Look at the lending numbers coming out of the payday loans. They're rocketing. They have been for a year or two. Look at the numbers coming out from the British Bankers Association of unsecured lending, which is overdrafts, personal loans, kitchen loans, whatever. They are higher year on year. And of course, mortgages are higher as well. And I suspect that people In the mini boom that's happening right now, I suspect people are taking out bigger mortgages than they need so that they can spend and so on. In other words, look, if you haven't got the money, stop borrowing. In fact, reduce your debts, because I tell you, the next time there's an economic shock, I don't know what government policy can possibly do to bring us out of it. In other words, I think it's going to be the biggest thing, even bigger than 2008. Be prudent, and if you're not being prudent, then I'm sorry. Frankly, you deserve everything that's going to happen to you.
Jonathan Davies, thank you so much for your time and expertise on Boxing Day.